All right, I think we're good to start, Chef Aisha. And
Yes.
first of all, a very good evening, good late, and welcome to IICA Online Learning. First of all, thank you for taking the time out, accepting our invitation, for being with us, and most of all, for being generous enough to offer a live demonstration, which I know in these times and circumstances could not have been more challenging. But you've always proven to go against the odds and set an example for everyone. And I was sharing with Mr. Datta and the team earlier that your last visit to the institute was, if I'm not wrong, and correct me please, I think about 3.5, 4 years ago. Is that correct?
Yes,
3 years
almost.
at
Yes.
least?
Yes.
Yeah, give or take. Lovely. Well, that visit has certainly been long overdue. The repeat visit of that institute, but
No.
and I've got a mixed feeling at the moment because I'm happy that you're here, but also sad that this is virtual. I really hope that this can next time be a real visit to our
Absolutely.
center. Students would be thoroughly delighted to host you to the institute. And with that, I just want to say that we're very, very lucky and happy to have you with us. As I mentioned earlier, we have a very mixed group of students. There are currently about 55 students who have logged in from our different programs. This includes a group from 2019, as I told you, and 2020.
Yes.
Of course, again, broadly divided into kitchen and pastry. Um, what we're looking to hear, what we're looking to see most of all is, of course, on top of your demonstration, which we're all excited about, is also to spend a little time interacting with them, telling them about your experience and journey, which perhaps you can start with because
Sure.
we'd love to know how someone with so many skills ends up at the position of, working with ITC, Moria, Tupperware, and so on, and CCD, not to mention.
Yeah.
So you've had some versatile roles, and I think for future chefs, it is an eye opener and yet an inspiration to see how many opportunities actually are there for someone who's skilled and qualified. So with that, I want to thank you. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, that we'll be recording this session. I'll be sending the link for the session to you later in the day.
Yes.
So we can have this all on record. All right, over
Yes.
to you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I'm so excited and happy to be here. Just to give you a little background about myself, I started my career with ITC Group of Hotels. I did my hotel management from Aurangabad, IHM Aurangabad. And then I joined ITC Group of Hotels and I worked as a kitchen trainee. So my first 2 years was like a kitchen trainee where I was assisting chefs and, doing all your regular, work that a kitchen trainee does. So then my aim was to go to WMI. I always had a goal in mind, So my aim was, I had a set goal. So, okay, I want to go to WMI. And once I graduate from WMI, I'm going to become a sous chef. So that was my aim. And I worked towards it. I studied, I worked really hard, under Chef Madhu in ITC Maratha. And then I went to WMI, I got through. And I studied there for about 2 years and then became sous chef, junior sous chef, and was part of the pre-opening team in Bangalore. So I opened ITC Gardenia under Chef Madhu again. And, obviously it's a complete different ballgame when you're opening a hotel. There are a lot of things that you need to keep in mind. And more than cooking, the initial 6 months you're planning. You're planning menus, you're planning, how your kitchen's going to look. So that's what I did initially. And then I was, running Westfield, the grill room. It was an all women's team. So we had women chefs and women service staff as well. And then I moved to the coffee shop, which was a 24-hour, kind of coffee shop. And we did in-room service as well. We had a couple of bars under us. So that was another ball game altogether. And then I decided I wanted to get out of hotels. I'd given a lot of time, a lot of energy, and I wanted to do something different. So I started hunting for jobs. I was based in Bangalore then. I started hunting for jobs, and I came across this very interesting role of a senior R&D chef with Cafe Coffee Day. So I said, why not? Let me try it. I took it up. It was completely different from hotels. where you are creating dishes, and you are doing a lot of research and development in, say, making something as simple as a burger. You're doing a lot of development and research around that particular product. How will the patty be? How will the bread be? When you freeze it, what will the shelf life be? And then once you decide, what exactly the flavor profile is, then you go into bulk production, where you go to plants. There are certain plants in Delhi, there's some in down in the south, near Bangalore. So you go and produce, say a burger patty or the burger bun. You go and start producing this. So you do 100-ton production, and then you freeze it, and the entire shelf life study is done. So that's a complete different side. So that's retail. So I did about 3 years in retail. I did about good 8 years in the hotel industry, and then I moved to Delhi. And when I moved to Delhi, again, I was on, a job hunt, and that's when I met Arjun sir and Gurpreet ma'am, and then I got a lovely job with Tupperware. That's completely different because that's direct selling. Now, direct selling is basically a different kind of, market, where you're teaching people, you're training women, homemakers, to go out and sell a particular product that you're giving them. Now, why would a chef be needed in such a role? Tupperware is, you would know Tupperware as dabbas, bottles, containers. But Tupperware has also moved into, cookware, into life solutions. So I was the culinary product specialist for Tupperware, and I created content. Now I reported into the marketing manager, okay, the marketing director. And it's very odd because a chef reporting into a marketing director, they're two different ball games altogether in the hotel industry, or even in restaurants. But here I was the focal point, which where I would create the content that would tie up the product with the person who's selling it to the consumer. So what happens is I would create a story around the product. All right. I would create recipes, I would do training material around the product, how to use the product. And then finally, that woman who's a homemaker, she would take that product and go out, demonstrate that product and sell. So I learned the marketing aspect as well as the social media aspect of, Tupperware, and how to brand a particular product and sell it in the market. So I've had a diverse, experience, all right, as a chef, and I'm now today, okay, I've reached a point. I'm no longer with Tupperware. Today, I've reached a point where I'm using all of that, and using it to my advantage. Whatever I've learned in these last 13 plus years. Okay, so whatever demonstrations, whatever social media stuff, and especially my basic culinary skill that I have gained over the last 8-9 years with ITC, I'm using all of that today and creating content online, engaging people online through live sessions, through interactive sessions with people, lot of trainings. So today I'm doing a training with you all. There are other trainings that I do with homemakers as well. So having said all of this about myself, I would like to, tell all the recipes that I want to do and want to show you all today. Now, the idea of doing this recipe, okay, and that was instant bread, was basically with this lockdown, all right. And I'm in Bombay. I'm based in Bombay right now, and we're not getting bread that easily. All right, where I stay, a lot of supplies are kind of limited. We're not getting too many things. I have a 5-year-old daughter, and she loves her bread. But we wanted, so I thought, why not make some healthy bread? And I don't have yeast at home. Okay, so I said, oh man, no yeast. I have some healthy grains lying at home. Let me try and make something that is fun, quick. I can keep in the freezer. So the idea today is to make 2 recipes for y'all that are totally simple. You can't go wrong with the recipe, and more than that, with things that are available at home. Now, when I make my recipes, and I've always kept that in mind, there are a lot of complicated recipes that you have to, remember the quantities, and there are times we tend to go wrong. The kind of recipes that I normally try and create are recipes that are simple, that are easy, that you can remember. So when I was in college, I remember I had a trade test for, at Taj Mahal, Mumbai. I remember doing a recipe, that particular, I was making handmade pasta. And I remember making that recipe. I may have made it at least 25, 30 times, because I was so uncertain about the recipe. And that stuck with me. So I said, when I create my recipes, they need to be foolproof. Where, a student or even a homemaker for that matter is not racking her brains thinking, okay, suppose मैंने ये ज़्यादा डाल दिया तो क्या होगा? So today this bread recipe is a foolproof recipe. You can't really go wrong with this recipe, and even if you add a little extra here and there, you're still not going to go wrong with it. So I'm going to quickly cut over to the recipe of the instant bread. Now, what I've done is I have basic stuff at home, all right? I had, and I'm just going to, just put the camera a little down so that you can see. Okay, so I've taken 100 grams of multigrain flour, okay, which is jowar, bajra, and I have millet, all right, 100 grams of that. So I've measured it out, okay, and kept it in a bowl. I have 2 tablespoons of dahi, yogurt, which I'm going to add to it. 2 tablespoons of dahi. I had some dry thyme at home. Now, if you don't have dry thyme, what are you going to add? You add black pepper, all right? Or you just take a little garlic, pan fry it with, in olive oil, make them a little nice and golden brown, and add that. So add any flavoring that you can have, you can add at home that is easily available to you. So I had some dry thyme, luckily I bought it before this lockdown. So I'm just going to add dry thyme. You don't need to really measure it. You go with as much as you like. All right. I have a teaspoon of sugar. All right. A pinch of salt, or a little more if you like. I'm using pink salt. All right. You use whatever salt you have at hand. 95 grams of water. All right. You add all of it. And a little bit of olive oil. Okay. And that's it. First, give it a stir. All right. Knead it up into a dough. And this is such a easy, simple, quick recipe to make, So you preheat your oven to 250 degrees Celsius. All right. Now the idea is, suppose you don't remember the recipe, okay, and you're like, okay, now what? Kitna dalu? The idea is to see the texture of the dough. All right. The dough does not have to be too tight. It should be a soft dough, a very malleable dough. I'm going to show it to you. We're not going to even use our hands or our fingers to knead it. Nothing at all. All right. So here, if you see, the dough is really soft and really light. Okay. It's a patla dough. Okay. Now in this, I don't have baking powder, I don't have baking soda, and I don't have yeast. So what am I going to add? I have ENO at home. I have regular plain ENO. Now I've tried this recipe with the lemon ENO as well as plain ENO. Okay, so both of them, it doesn't matter which one you're using. You can use lemon or you can use the plain one. The flavor is not going to change. So I'm going to add this 1 packet of ENO. Now you will add this packet of ENO right before baking. So you're going to set your oven to 250 degrees. You're going to preheat it at 250. And you're going to bake it at 200 degrees Celsius for about 20 minutes. All right. Now I baked it in a glass pan, okay, that I had. A glass mold, which I had at home. And what is important when you're using a glass mold is to butter it or put ghee on it. Now, I did it with olive oil and it kind of sticks. All right. So even if you do a little oil and you dust a little flour on it, it still kind of sticks. So when you use ghee, or you use a little bit of butter to line it, it is definitely not going to stick. All right. So for sure, this won't stick if you're doing ghee or butter. Anyway, so now I'm adding the Eno. All right, 1 sachet of the Eno into this. You're going to give it a quick stir, and then you're going to just put it in your pan and put it straight for baking. Just a quick stir. And you can actually hear it fluff up. And that's it, done. The recipe is done. There's nothing to it. So I'm going to just put this mixture that you see here straight into the bowl. And simply going to put it in the oven for about 20 minutes to bake. Now also what I do normally, I have a little sun-dried tomato pesto that I have made at home. So I just drizzle a little bit on the bread to give it a little flavor. You can also add a little bit of olive oil, but I'm going to put a little bit of sun-dried tomato pesto on it and then stick it in the oven. And you get like this really nice, see, the bread is not light and fluffy like you would normally get, but this is what you have. And this is going to go straight in the oven, and you're going to get a product like this, which is nice, golden brown, and very, very tasty. Very tasty. So all you do is slice up the bread, pan fry it to golden brown, use it like, you know, a crostini, put a, you know, a dip on top or a spread, and you can consume it, or you can consume it with eggs, put scrambled eggs on top. So it's a very simple, no-brainer recipe, okay? And that's what I like doing. I like creating recipes that are super simple, yet tasty, and I like breaking on the rules, like like Arjun sir said. But it's a very simple, fun recipe to do, you know. So give it a go. I'm going to share the recipe with Arjun sir as well, and try the recipe out. Now, of course, to go with this recipe, also we need something. So ye to ban gaya, bread is done. But I wanted to do a quick, you know, spread for you, and I'm not going to call it the hummus. Okay, everyone's done the hummus. Hummus is done to death. But the idea here to do this recipe, I've got a chopper over here, and that's because I did not want to plug in a mixie. So I don't want to make too much noise. I'm using a regular chopper. All right, you can do it in a mixie. Why I chose this recipe again is to show you what ingredients you have at hand and how you can use those. Sabke ghar mein chole, you know, chola hai basically. But suppose, say, for this recipe you do not have chola. All right, you don't have chola. You can use kabuli. You can use kala chana. You can use black-eyed beans. You can, so that is lobia, or you can also use rajma. All right. So, how do you make hummus? You're going to add the chickpeas. You're going to add tahini. Okay, now tahini is roasted sesame seed paste. If you have til at home, all you do is roast the til to golden brown and you blend it in the mixie with a little bit of oil till you get a nice paste. Okay, so the chickpea, the tahini. Say we don't have the tahini, what do we replace it with? So that it tastes nice, right? So I have a little bit of yogurt. You can add a little bit of yogurt to the dip. I have garlic, lemon juice, and that's about it. So this recipe is a super simple, easy recipe, and some olive oil, of course. Now I've boiled the chickpeas. I've soaked them overnight, and you know, then boiled them in the cooker. Now the water of the chickpeas is extremely healthy, all right? I keep this water, and if I want to make, you know, say an eggless cake, I use this water and I use, you know, I whisk it really well to make little egg whites. So it's a replacement to your egg. and you can use it as egg whites. All right, so I have put in the chickpeas. I'm going to add a little bit of garlic. I have tahini, so I'm going to add tahini. All right, I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil. And I like yogurt, so I'm going to do a little bit of yogurt. Now this recipe, I also, once this is mixed and it's well blended, I add a little bit of chopped onion, chopped green chilies, and chopped coriander. It gives depth to the hummus, it Indianizes it, and it tastes really, really nice. So any kind of bean that you're using, you can add, so you can completely blend it, puree it in the mixie, and use a little bit of chopped onion, chopped green chili, chopped coriander, and of course a little squeeze of lemon juice, and all of it in the mixie. Now, one little tip when you are making hummus is in the mixie, add 1 or 2 cubes of ice. Okay, small pieces of ice. When you blend hummus in the mixie, and if the chickpeas are cold, the texture of the hummus is way better. It's fluffy, it's light, it's creamy. All right, so that's one point that you should keep in mind when you're making any bean puree or any bean spread or dip. Add a couple of cubes of ice while pureeing it. You'll get a nice fluffy, creamy spread. All right, now in this chopper, you may not get a very creamy spread, okay, because I'm not blending it. I'm just going to chop it and show you what I'm going to do with it. It's a quick and easy dip. Sorry, guys, the camera is shaking. I'm on the dining table. But if you see, you get like this really nice creamy dip. You can blend it, you'll get a finer creamy spread in a mixie. But yeah, so you have the spread here. I'm just going to quickly pull it out. Now everyone sees how the hummus is done, with a little, with an olive oil drizzle, and so I'm going to do the same, but my spread is not as creamy because it's not in the mixie. It's in this little chopper, but I'm still going to, and you can still consume it. It still tastes very nice. It's just if you want a creamy spread, you do it in the mixie. All right. I put a little bit of olive oil. I have a little bit of dhania. I like making my food look pretty, even if I'm at home and even during the lockdown. It just makes me feel good. All right. So a little bit of paprika or chili powder, and that's it. You're done. It's that simple and quick, and that's it. We have a very easy, quick spread to go with that quick and easy bread. And all of this is super simple and easy to do, especially at home when we, are busy. Everyone's busy at home today. All of us are doing things that we were not doing for so many years, right? Jharu, pota, all of it, bartan, all of us are at it, washing clothes, ironing, everything. So when you have quick and easy things that you can do, it just helps. Now, this dip is high on protein, okay, because of the chickpeas. And the tahini. It's high on protein. And why I chose this and why I tend to consume it is that it's healthy. It keeps me full much longer. Now with this spread, I can use it in multiple ways. It can be a spread or a dip with veggies or with, say, nachos or chips. But how do I create it as a meal? So as a meal, I would use it as a sandwich, or I would make a roti roll, or I'd make a little bit of kebab and serve it with, a patty or a kebab and create a meal. So this keeps you full much longer. All right. And the bread is basically, I have all this atta and I use it to make roti every day. But I want to change. I want, to try something different and have a different texture, different mouthfeel. So doing this bread, I just have stopped buying regular bread. it's just faster for me to make this bread. I toast it and I consume it with eggs, or even with regular dal and sabzi at times. So it's simple, it's quick, and that's why I chose these two recipes to show you all. You all can try it out. It's fun and easy to do with your family as well. And yeah, I'm open to questions, Arjuna, if there are any.
Well, first of all, Chef, let me just say that has been absolutely brilliant. So amazing. I must say that this was very innovative. The trick with the bread was amazing. So thank
Yeah,
you
the
for sharing
bread
that.
it tastes good.
That looks lovely. That looks
Yeah.
lovely.
And
Maybe we
okay,
should
so
have your daughter test it on our case.
yeah, and it's frozen. This bread was frozen. I pulled it out in the morning today. It's
Okay,
thawed, and it's just nice, and just pan fry it with a little olive oil. It tastes great.
wonderful. And as long as your daughter likes it, I think that's all that matters,
Yeah.
really, doesn't
Oh, she's quite. She loves trying new things.
it? Excellent. Good. All right, folks. Students, do we have any questions? Are there any questions for Chef Aisha about anything about the recipe? I'm glad that she mentioned she'll be sharing the recipes
Yes,
because I'll certainly share them with everyone then. All right. So Nidhi here, our student, has a question. She says, if multigrain flour isn't there, can we use it with wheat?
yes. Use
Okay.
regular wheat flour, and
Okay.
flavor it well. Put some herbs or put roasted garlic. Except when you're doing regular atta, you'll have to check the baking time. It may increase a little bit, and also what will happen is you'll have to pull out the bread. So once the bread is baked, you hold on for about 5 to 10 minutes, but then demold the bread because it tends to get soggy, and because I'm using a glass mold, it gets soggy very fast. So demold the bread and allow it to cool well. All right.
All right. So we have another question here, Chef. Priya in our pastry program is asking if we have baking powder, how much should we add baking powder?
Okay, so if you have baking powder, about a teaspoon of baking powder should be good. So see, this Eno packet is about 5 grams, about a teaspoon. So baking powder also about 1 teaspoon is good.
Good. So what Gaurav is asking, I have here a question from Gaurav is that so you substituted yeast and baking soda with Eno. I think he's confirming that.
Yes. I used Eno instead of all of that.
All right. And I have a student from Nidhi again who's asking that if we're baking this in a normal bread pan, how long should we bake it for?
At the same time,
Same time.
it's the same time. I just used a glass, mold because I didn't have a regular baking pan, and I used what I had at home. But pretty much the same time.
And she's asking, can we make vegan bread?
So, yeah, you can actually, because this is pretty much all vegan. I'm not using any dairy as such in it. And you can also instead use oat flour. If you want to do like a complete vegan, use oat flour. So use oat flour. We're using olive oil. We've not used any vegan stuff in it. No. And yeah, besides the butter, so you eliminate the butter. You do a little spread of olive oil or regular oil, dust it with the oat flour, and then put your bread in and allow it to bake.
Okay. Um, we have a question from Nishta who's asking if using baking powder first, we need to mix the powder with the curd and leave it for 5 minutes. Is that right?
So honestly, you mix it up with the bread and hold on to the bread, on the side for a bit, and then do it. See, if we were using yeast, then we'd let it, hang on there and sprout. But otherwise, you can just mix up the baking powder with the bread, hold on for a few minutes, and then place it in the mold and put it to bake. Eno fluffs up really fast, so you bake it instantly. But if you have baking soda, nothing like it. It's gonna work like Eno.
And Gaurav is asking if we use peanut butter instead of butter, another vegan aspect, can we use peanut butter? So what he's asking is, can we use peanut butter?
Okay, peanut butter to line the tray or to add it to your bread.
I think it's to the bread.
Yeah,
Can we
whatever you
can
like.
use sugar, Hunter?
Sorry.
Gaurav, is it to the bread?
Chef, we can use kuttu ghata or ragi sambar better for the sauce.
All right. So, chef, that is for the bread. In fact, he's asking.
To add it to the bread, you can. You
Okay,
can
cool.
add it to your bread. But remember, the quantities may change. So even if you do add a little bit for flavor, you can go ahead.
Super. And Priya's asking if it's baking soda, 1 teaspoon should do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
1 teaspoon's fine. Good. And I have a pastry student, Sushanta. You can imagine a lot of questions coming from the pastry students this time. Chef, Chef, as you said that we can use flour instead of multigrain flour, but then we need to reduce water also, as multigrain flour has more water absorption capacity than normal flour. Please suggest.
Okay, so even if say your mix is a little soft, all right, it's okay. It's all right because you're going to add your or your baking powder and you're going to bake it straight. So you can change the baking time. So if you feel that the bread needs a little more time, go ahead and bake it longer. And ultimately, like I look at the texture of the mix. So if it's a little soft, I go with what I feel like when I'm mixing it. I feel it shouldn't be too dense, the mixture.
Well, Nidhi's asked a question. Nidhi's from our July batch, if I'm not wrong. She's asking a question: which is the best way to check the bread is perfectly baked?
All right. So with this bread, all right, I did a trial and error. So I checked. I baked it for about 15 to 20 minutes, and I felt I need to bake it a little more. Okay. But because I had a glass mold, I looked below, and when it looks like it's a little underbaked, like all of it is golden brown, that's when I pull it out. Okay. Now, if you're baking at a very high temperature, inside it's not going to cook very well. So therefore, at a 200 or a 180 is good for about 20 to 25 minutes for this quantity of bread, the recipe that I'm sharing. Now, the moment the quantity changes and you double it, you'll have to bake a little longer. So it's also about how much quantity you are baking at one go.
Fair enough. Nishta's asking whether a milk or an egg wash is necessary or not.
Honestly, I didn't use any of it. I tried to do it, as bare minimum as possible. But if you do it, there is no problem. You can go ahead and do it.
Okay. And Gatha's asking, what if we want to make it in a microwave? Is it possible to make bread in microwave?
Yeah, you can. I haven't tried it, okay? I used to do it at Tupperware where I do like instant bread. In fact, I did bread in a pan. So I followed this similar recipe but I didn't use all these multigrain attas, and I did regular maida and followed a similar recipe like this with maida, sugar, dahi, water, and eno. And I put it in a frying pan. I covered it and I let it cook on one side. I turned it around and let it cook on the other side. And I pulled it out and I had like a fantastic pizza base and actually had a bready texture. So I did it in a pan, but microwave I haven't. You'll have to try it out. Okay, if you're experimental at this time, you can try it out for sure.
I think Gatha, once you've tried it, do share the recipe because I think that's a recipe we can share with the students
Yeah,
also.
yeah, totally.
Lovely. We've seen a lot of questions about the bread. Are there any questions about the dip, or was that really, really straightforward?
Super simple.
Yeah, I think that's pretty straightforward and very innovative at the same. It does
Okay.
away with the overnight soaking of chickpeas and all that stuff, which generally deters most of us making a hummus dip because most of us haven't overnight soaked.
No, so I decided to do this because I was making chola for dinner. Okay, I'll be honest. So when I'm making chola for dinner, I pull out some of the chickpeas. Okay, and I make a dip. And I make a dip just to bring a little bit of change in my diet, just to bring a little variation in the food that I'm eating. Because of late it's just been dal, sabzi, roti, and sometimes no sabzi also. It's just dal chawal.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just to bring about a little variation, and because all of us are keeping in mind that the lockdown is now till obviously 3rd May. So we just have to keep in mind how to, ensure you're using all your ingredients carefully. We don't know what's going to happen next, right?
Well,
So
let's hope this is the last time we have to say that. But yeah, you're right. We don't know what's going to happen next. All right, chef, can you guide us making us an eggless cake?
yeah,
We use chickpea water. How to use it best?
so basically chickpeas once you boil them ना और आपने पानी के साथ उसे ठंडा कर दिया आप पानी को निकाल के you whisk the chickpea water. Okay, the chickpea water is used as so it becomes white and fluffy like eggs, like egg whites. So you use that as a replacement to your egg to make a light fluffy, batter. So in your cake batter, you put a little dahi, to make it a little soft, and then you fold in, your chickpea water which you fluffed up with the regular cake batter and make it light and fluffy. So it's basically to give it a little air. What happens is in an eggless cake, the cake kind of becomes a little dense. So here you're adding a little bit of fluff to it by adding this chickpea water that you have, whisked to become like egg white.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
For the cake?
For anything, I think Punita's asked, can we suggest, wait, it's going up, few points on how to make cornbread?
Okay, I didn't have cornmeal. I didn't have cornmeal, but definitely if I do get it, I'm going to make it. And I have to tell you, I'm not a baker, okay? My specialty is cooking. All right?
But that's not the impression you gave us today, chef.
Yeah, but I have to tell you, I am not a pastry and bakery chef. And my specialty has been cuisine, but these times have, made me just try out innovative things and just, think out of the box, but try things that I may have, not done before. So I specialize in cuisine mainly, but yes, I do try my hand at all kind of things these days.
Lovely. Chef, can you see these last few questions in the chat box? Students have asked a few questions. If you could just respond to some of them.
Okay, so we have a few points how to make cornbread. Okay, I tried making this after chilling the water, but nothing happened. Oh, okay? This is you're talking about the chickpea water. All right, so yeah, okay. So the chickpea water, what happens is now normally what I do is with the chickpea water, I take the thick portion after refrigerating it, and it's that glutinous thick mixture of the egg, the chickpea waters that comes out. You use that and try that. Okay, normally with me it's worked. So if it's nice and thick, I get a nice white fluffy mix. So what we can do is maybe in a next session we can do something like that with chickpeas. I'm also going to try it out, and we can maybe do a cake or something using this chickpea as egg white as a base.
Sounds interesting.
As you have had a lot of positions in F&B industry, how to approach when opting for the change in the profession aspect? Also how to say about it. All right, Rahul. So honestly, I did not go and decide that okay, this is where I want to be. Like this, like for example, I want to get into retail or I want to get into direct selling. When I look at a job or a new job, I look at the expertise that I have from my previous company and what additional benefit, okay, in terms of learning that I'm going to get from the organization that I'm planning to join, okay. So it has to be a mix. So say today, if I, for example, if I want to go back to hotels, say I haven't done hotel management, I've not worked at ITC, I've worked at Tupperware and Cafe Coffee Day. I will look at what I'm going to learn when I join a hotel or when I'm going to join a standalone. How is it going to benefit me in terms of my learning and development? Okay. So when you look at a job that you're getting, look at what else are you going to learn from it. Okay, what else, what value it's going to add to you. So when I did look at Cafe Coffee Day and say Tupperware, I was looking at what value addition it is going to do for me. So with Tupperware, I felt that, oh man, this is like I'm learning marketing as a chef from a hotel. You don't learn marketing, but I'm learning marketing. I'm learning how to train people. I'm learning how to go up on stage and address 2,000 women, which I felt was, a learning for me. It was adding so much more to me and my personality. Beyond the pay and beyond all of that, look at how it's going to impact you and your development. Yeah.
Great. I think that answers it very well, Chef. I have a question, if you don't mind me asking. Is there any advice? I mean, I know that you've mentored a lot of students in your time in hotels and then after that in CCD as well. Is there any advice that you have for the future chefs? I mean, amongst us, all of these students who are soon either going to be taking internships for the first time or very soon for the people who have completed their internships or going to complete their internships, they'll be joining a job very soon. So is there any advice for people who enter this industry? I mean, one is advice for everyone, and then specifically if you can represent and speak to the female students, because I personally feel that, they have so much potential, and given the right guidance, they would do wonders just as you have. So any special advice for them?
Sure. So, guys, I'll tell you one thing. When I joined the industry, for me, it was only hotels, okay? And at that point, it was only hotels, okay? It was ITC, it was Oberoi's, and it was Taj, all right? So, for me, I was so stuck, I was so stuck that no, no, boss, it has to be hotels. It cannot be anything else. I think, as young chefs, when we go out into the industry, we go out into the market, I think we need to keep an open mind, and today is a complete VUCA world. What does VUCA mean? VUCA means it's
Volatile, uncertain.
things change. Nothing is certain. There are certain things, certain situations that may change in your personal life, or like we're seeing today with this lockdown. So I feel as young chefs, and when we do go out in the market, it's important for us to be open. It's important for us to be, willing to do things out of the box. All right. Don't be stuck, and don't be, don't say that, no, this is only what I want to do. Be open to learning other things as well. So as a chef, when say you're a chef, but there are so many other things that come along with it. So we are saying selling a product, selling a meal, but what are the things that go with it, right? So you're planning a menu, that's one. You're designing a menu. How do you design a menu? As a chef in the hotel, I never saw that angle of it. How do you do, say, food photography? Okay, that itself we would never pay attention to. Okay, how do I style that dish? How important the lighting is? All right, those are few basic things. Okay, beyond that, okay, how are my customers coming to a restaurant? What is the strategy behind it? It's through marketing. So over this last journey, these 13 years, I've learned that it's important to look out of the box. Stuff like costing, okay? When you go join a hotel, you are in the kitchen. There's a completely different section that does food cost. Okay, you have your finance department. Under finance, there's one little department that does all your food costing, all of it. So there, I remember I never paid attention to it. I never went there because the executive chef would, sit and do it with the finance person. So I never really paid attention. But in these last 13 years, I feel that, oh my God, I should have gone down there, spent a week there, spent time there doing it. So for example, I'm a bakery and pastry chef. Okay, I'm just going to give you a simple example. I'm a bakery and pastry chef. I do not look at the hot kitchen, or I do not go to the garde manger. But that should not be the case. You should have an open mind. It's always good to be exposed to different things, to learn different things. All right. So I feel that's damn important. I didn't do it during my time. I said, no, hot kitchen only, no bakery, no pastry, no this, no that. So you kind of lose out on so much, when you are closed. So it's important to keep your mind open and, allow new opportunities to come your way. Yeah.
That's absolutely wonderful, Chef. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think what you struck a very interesting point, which in fact I must also mention is that something that Mr. Datta was sharing with all of us, I think in a meeting today as well, is and pretty much on the same lines that we must learn what the other people are doing. We must be open to learning what everyone else is doing, because otherwise we competition's very stiff within our own domain. If we
Yeah.
remain a saucier, we believe that we're going to be great at it, well, then someone else is going to be great at it very soon. Would you agree with that?
Totally. So I'm going to give you an example. At Tupperware, I used to deal with north, south, east, west. Okay, so I would go for training to the south, all right, and I would say make a pindi chole recipe, all right, and they would refuse to taste the recipe also. They said, "No, we want to make dosa. We want to make." I said, "But you have to try new things. Why are you trying new things? You're trying new things because in Bangalore, say for example, there are people from the north as well. So you're not going to go and sell the product to a North Indian, showing them the recipe of only dosa. And likewise in the north, that would the same situation in the east. They would not want. So I always tell them that think out of the box, learn different cuisines. It's important, Today, when we get stuck, like I remember I was stuck. I want to be conti chef, conti chef. When I was thrown into that coffee shop, which was 24 hours, I had to learn Chinese. And I remember I was a sous chef. Okay. I had to learn Chinese. I had to learn South Indian. I didn't know how to make a dosa because I was so closed. So what I did is I picked my ego up and kept it aside. And I went every day in the morning and I would stand on the live counter and make 1,000 dosas in the morning so that I learned within a week how to make dosas perfectly. But if I was a little open and I would have actually done it from the beginning, then that day wouldn't have come where as a sous chef, I'd have to stand on that egg counter and make a dosa. I enjoy it. I mean, I love doing it. But besides that, you don't want to do that. There are other things that you have to do and take care of as a sous chef, right? But having said that, put yourself out there. Don't close doors for yourself. Today, a lot of people ask me, Aisha, what do you want to do? Do you want to join the hotel or do you want to be an R&D chef? And I said, no, 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 no. I have so many things that I've learned in these 13 years that I don't want to, close my doors. I've done marketing, I've done brand marketing, I've done social media, I've done content development, I've done training, I'm a chef. I want to use all of my expertise. So I feel it's very important, to gain knowledge. Like today, as a chef, and as someone who has not been an IT person, I'm sitting and doing a digital marketing course, which is free online. It's Google Garage, just to widen my horizons and just to think out of the box, do something else. So I feel it's very important, to use, especially this time. This lockdown is, I mean, it's a gift. It's a godsend gift. We would never get something like this otherwise, where we have time to ourselves and we can divide our day into personal, into work, and into your home chores. So I think make full use of this time. Try out new dishes, do new things, study as well. This is the best time to do that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Right. Chef, I have to ask, I mean, we keep encouraging and we keep hearing from chefs alike, saying that students must divide their time towards practice and research. Uh, Throughout your career, are there any, do you get a chance to read much on the concepts of cooking? Do you do much of reading around cooking as well? Because I'm sure that this knowledge is a combination of both experience and uh, books as well.
I'll take you step by step through my career and how I would divide my time, right? So as a chef working in an operational kitchen, which was, you were on the job 24/7, okay? I would barely get any offs. I was working round the clock. But what I'd do is, say if I have a break, I'd sit online and I had to decide a buffet menu, all right? So when I'm deciding a buffet menu, there would be like a minimum of 25, 30 dishes, and they have to change every single day, all right? And every meal they have to change. You can't repeat the same thing. So I remember I would spend whatever little time, my free time I get online, trying to see new concepts, new ideas, new ways of cooking, so that I could go and implement it in the kitchen. For me, the best way, personally, to learn and till date is to do it practically. When I do it practically, it's embedded in my mind. So if I read something, I want to go out and do it practically. All right. With Cafe Coffee Day, the same thing. All right. And Cafe Coffee Day, I had developed the lounge and the square. Okay, I developed their menus. So I remember I would spend my morning, okay, in office, sitting and deciding all the recipes I want to make for the day and try it out. And then I have to present it to the owner of the company. So I would jot down what I want to do a little study on it, see whether it works, doesn't work, try it out in the kitchen 2, 3 times till I get it right, and then present it. So my way of learning, for me personally, is reading and then trying it out practically and making it my own by adding, maybe a twist to the recipe or a twist on how I'm making it as well. And with Tupperware, again, it was all about research and development in terms of maybe not culinary but marketing. All right. So whatever I would learn, I would put it into practical use. All right. So okay, Aisha, when I joined, okay, I would see a lot of catalogs. Tupperware is all about creating catalogs and creating, magic and photo shoots and things like that. I would do it on my own. Okay, a couple of photos were terrible, but then I would go and I'd say, okay, no, you know what? I'm going to try it like this. I'd go look at a reference shot and I'd try to make my own reference shot, try to make it look as pretty as possible. And towards the end of my tenure, I had made two catalogs on my own. I did the shoot, I did the layout, I decided how the catalog would look, what the look and feel was, what products would go in. And that's something I've never ever done in my career. But I did it. I went on to creating a bag. All right. So Tupperware has a lot of lunch bags. Okay. So for years, Tupperware has been making the same lunch bag. That's simple lunch bag with flowers. And so I told my boss, I said, you know what? Before I leave, I want to make something totally cool and different, and we're not going with this. I had a lovely boss, okay, who would let me do what I wanted. So he said, go ahead, do what you think is right. And we created a bag from leatherite. Okay, if you've noticed leather bags which has that little cushioning, we made like a cushion bag, which was black and red, and which is totally not Tupperware style. They're totally against having black, but we still went ahead and did it, and we like were out of stock in a week. So the idea is to to think out of the box. One, take what you're looking at and actually put it into practical use. And that's the way you're going to learn. At least for me, that's how I've learned. I've taken whatever I've seen online or whatever I've studied and I've put it to practical use. It's as simple, okay? Dice vegetables. Okay, you're seeing it in a notebook. But when you actually do it, you'll know what the issue is and why you're not getting it right. As simple as that. Or making the perfect omelette. You'll see all YouTube videos on it and you'll see all of it. But till you don't do it 2, 3 times, you're not going to get it right. All right. So I feel that's very, very important. Hands-on, practical. I have learned hands-on. All right, from day one. I didn't, as much as I was in Aurangabad and I studied and all, but what I learned was on the job. Okay, and I feel that's extremely important in any given industry, to learn on the job.
Wonderful. Chef, I think we just had a student write in. Nidhi's asked a question. She's asking whether she can use fresh herbs in the bread.
Yeah, please use fresh herbs. If you have fresh herbs, nothing like it. I have dry herbs.
You're very lucky if you have fresh herbs.
I swear. I had dry.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Chef. That's all from my side. I'll ask Mr. Datta to.
Oh, that's lovely, Nidhi.
First of all, my compliments. You made it look so easy. I think that's the best part of learning. You manage sitting at one place, no movement. I observed that everything was organized within your reach of your hand. I think that's the best observation I could make. My students can learn from this that you can make things easy. You don't have to make it start looking for complexities in a work situation. I think excellent, well done. A lot of lesson for all of us. All of us are now homebound, and I am advising my students also to keep cooking at home and record it and share with us also. And this can be easily seen through your how you have done it. No complex machinery, no complex equipment, and still you have produced an excellent dish. And I'm sure a lot more can be done also. I also liked your the learning process of life. You did mention that we all have to read books, etc. But where I come from, my generation of late 60s, early 70s, there were no computers and very few books. So the best learning to us came from watching our seniors. I think the best learning, like today, watching you, there's a lot of learning in many things. So what I'd advise my students also is that watch your seniors wherever you go in a hotel. The best you can learn is from the practices they are being followed. They're all professionals of great experience, and there can be no comparison to learning of what you see in the real life. But of course, books must be reached now that you have advantage of Google search and books in the tips of your fingers. But I think there's no better teacher than your own boss, your own seniors who are out there to teach you. And you have done wonderful. I think I'm very glad. Your presentation was absolutely lucid. And there are a lot of questions which come to mind. But I'm sure there will be many more classes. And we'll all learn more from you. Thank you very much for making it look so easy for us. It's very motivating for staff and faculty together that this can be done. Thanks again. Thank you.
And I would just like to add, that amongst all other things that you mentioned and shared with us, the one thing that I liked the most was that you said that you'll be doing it again, doing something again on the next session.
Oh yeah,
that was very encouraging.
So I think we'll do the chickpea water and maybe do something with the cake.
Yeah, sure. I think that's going to be very exciting, and I look forward to having us. So, students, can we have a round of applause for Chef Ayesha? If you can unmute your microphone.
Thank you.
And we certainly look forward to welcoming you back very soon, Chef. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Chef, thank you so much. And students, I will ask you to stay on. We just have a debriefing with Mr. Datta. So, Chef, over to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, and hope to see you soon.
Sir. All right, sir. Bye. Bye. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye, Chef.
Okay. We have all the students online and glad. So, students, this was one of the very interesting presentation with Ayesha, and I'm sure all of you must have watched her and learned from her on some of the simple things. First of all, one, she breaks the myth that you need a special kitchen to cook at home. So I would like all of you, simple